Well, I started with guide dogs in May, just over 8 years ago now, when I got my first puppy, Umber. And I have to say it's been the best 8.5 years ever. He was my first puppy. Unfortunately, I never had a dog before, so I didn't really know what I was doing. Children were too young to take him out and walk, because to walk independently with them they have to be 18 years old. They then decided that they felt if the puppies were out with the walkers longer than 13-14 months old, maybe the training bit that's paid for would be shorter. So Umber stayed out with me until he was 16 months and then left for training. But unfortunately we did have quite a close bond, the two of us, and he didn't really like it at training school. He didn't like the harness, and he suffered from depression. You see, he still has a tendency to suffer from depression, and he just didn't want to do it. So I was going to say no, I didn't want him back. Obviously the financial cost was quite high to take on a lad this size, but my boss said she was going to fire me if I didn't go and get our dog back. So the next day after the phone call, we drove down to Redbridge and went to pick him up, and the transformation was instant. His trainer Emma was crying and said she'd waited 8 weeks for that reaction and he just wasn't prepared to give it to her, but she said he was highly intelligent because he kept up the fact that he wanted to come home and he'd got his own way eventually. And puppy coat. This is obviously the small one. They do come in a variety of sizes, but I think the size just gets wider that way as opposed to longer, because they end up looking like little bikini crop tops when they're bigger. So Kerry, should we put your coat on? Come here. Put your coat on. Good girl. Come here. Yes, you come. Good girl. Stand. Good girl. There you go. We just have to check it regularly to make sure that when they sit down it doesn't pull too tight and make them uncomfortable. So it's quite loose on her, and hopefully she won't get too bothered by wearing it. Forward. Okay. Leave it. Good girl. Stand. Good girl. Walk on. Stay there. Stay. Stay. On the left there, in that short space, you've got 4 A-frames, a 5th one slightly further up, all at different positions, either close to the shop or out in the middle of the footpath. And then you've got the shop starting to put stuff outside, on the corners, tables and chairs outside of restaurants. Good girl. Go, Tom. Yeah, go do some work. point out that the bobbly bit here is in theory what is the curb. So you can see how narrow the pavement is on this side, and if I've got to keep her onto the pavement side, there isn't room for me and obviously mobility scooters, pushchairs, so I'm effectively walking her on a road, which you can see up here is where people will park, where the bins are and where everything else is. So I'll try our best to stay on the path. Walk on, Kerry.
Very good. It's lovely Felixstowe.
I know.
It's one of the nicest places we've come to actually.
Yeah.
We get posted all around East Anglia and the East Midlands. So it's always a pleasure to come down here actually.
That's because of us, you see, we're nice people.
You're friendly folk here really, aren't you?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, you're beautiful, aren't you? Because normally when we're doing it, we've got a black one and a white one normally. That's what
It's going to snow this winter, you need two white ones.
It is nice to have a black one, we find actually. Because a lot of people prefer black ones to white ones as far as dogs go, basically.
I must admit, everybody that stops me says, oh, it's the first black one you've had. But actually, out of 10 dogs, I've had 4 black ones. They just seem to forget the black ones and only remember the yellow ones.
So how's his training going? Well?
She's doing all right, yeah. Doing all right, aren't you, little? Okay.
Certainly beautiful.
Learn it. Yeah. You little. Out. Out. Whoop. Out. Out. I knew you needed to go. Busy girl. Busy girl. Harry. Busy girl. Good girl. Where's our niece? Yes. Hello, big man. Hello, big man. Good boy. What are you looking for? Well, as a volunteer and a puppy walker, I can most definitely say the most rewarding part is hearing from a guide dog owner that's just qualified with one of your puppies that you've spent a year with. I've always said it's been emotional saying goodbye to the puppies, and I've cried every single time, but I think I cried 10 times more when I heard from one of my last pups that qualified, and I heard from not only the owner that he was going to be working for, but the children, the mother-in-law, the wife, and it was a real emotional roller coaster, but the most amazing feeling ever.